All right, guys, when it comes to what's going on in politics today, looks like the president as well as Congress has more on their plate than they can chew. We're going to talk about that in details because there's a lot that needs to pass, a lot of bills that need to pass over the next couple of days in order for you to receive benefits that they have planned for you. Also, we're going to talk about a $1,000 cash voucher that Bernie Sanders as well as others plan on giving to you in regards to expansions that are taking place with Medicare. We're going to talk about all that in details here on. Now, right now, many of the Republican Party are not on board with this. They don't care about you needing visual, dental, or hearing assistance, even though 70% of seniors in the United States are not fully covered when it comes to medical expenses. So therefore, that's why you have individuals such as Bernie Sanders and others that are fighting right now to get Medicare expansions added to the family infrastructure bill, because many senators know this: if the expansion or changes in Medicare is not added in this go around of infrastructure, what will happen is they'll end up waiting till 2022, which is next year, to even consider talking about vision. For hearing, it'll be 2023. And for dental, for any of you to receive full coverage when it comes to dental work, it'll be 2028. So that's how important this infrastructure bill is when it comes to helping with the expansion of Medicare. And when it comes to the expansion, one of the things that Bernie Sanders is fighting for, instead of waiting for individuals, whether it be the infrastructure bill or whether it be voting in the next couple of years, they want to give you a $1,000 cash voucher to make sure that you have money to cover the expenses of hearing, visual, and dental. So Bernie Sanders is trying to implement this $1,000 voucher inside the infrastructure bill. These are not the only benefits that they have planned coming down the turnpike for you. Now, even though they're trying to bring this into the infrastructure bill, there's a lot of things that's going on over the next week that they need to vote on, and not just Medicare. First, we have the infrastructure bill, which is the American Rescue Plan. Nancy Pelosi promised that they would have this voted on and passed by the 27th. If the other bill is passed before then, which we already see, Joe Manchin and others have decided that the American Family Plan, the bill that we've been waiting for, the stimulus plan, they have decided to kind of put a halt on that. And it's gaining more traction where other senators are saying that they're voting against it as well. So everything is at a halt when it comes to the infrastructure bill. The president is worried that it will not pass by the 30th of this month, because if it is not passed, as I mentioned the other day, by the 30th of this month, what'll happen is they'll have to restructure the whole plan based off the new federal budget, which starts October 1st. And speaking of federal budgets, that's another thing that they need to vote on. If the budget is not approved, the annual budget is not approved by September 30th, what'll happen? A lot of government workers that work for the military, police, those that work the front offices and the front desk, those that work in any field that has to do with the federal government and you're receiving a paycheck from them, your monies will be on halt. Remember 2 years ago during the Trump administration when Trump tried to force the hand of Congress to get the monies for the wall, and he sat back and he said, I am not signing off on the federal budget. And how many days individual federal workers had to go without receiving a paycheck, and they were getting payday loans and they were getting loans from the bank, anything that they could do to pay their bills. Those type of things could happen again if the federal budget isn't approved. This is another thing that's on the table for Congress. And even though they don't come back together as the House and the Senate until September 20th, they also have to vote on raising the debt ceiling. America is in debt to two entities, itself as well as other countries. And America can be a country that defaults on its debt. And if so, that will be problematic for our country when it comes to finances and how we are looked upon when it comes to getting loans from ourselves as well as from other countries. So the debt ceiling has to be risen. Even though the Republicans said, we washed our hands of it, let the Democrats take care of it. In other words, they want to see it falter. If you notice this, when it comes to the infrastructure bill, the Democrats are the only ones that are stepping up. When it came to this last round, third round of stimulus, it was only the Democrats that stepped up and made sure you received a stimulus check. Now, remember, I'm independent, so I'm not biased towards either Democrat or Republican. Remember also, when it comes to the $3 trillion infrastructure family plan, it's once again the Democrats trying to use reconciliation to get this bill passed for you. Why are the Republicans sitting back and trying to let the country burn? Because they know what's coming down the turnpike, 2022. And they're going to use every excuse in 2022 to remind you of 2021. And they want you to forget from all the mistakes that they made from 2020, 2019, and before. This is why the Republicans are sitting back, folding their hands, and not helping you at all, because they want your votes. The one thing, as I mentioned last year, when it comes to politics, politicians hope one thing from us all, that we're forgetful, that we don't remember what the Republican Party did in 2020 so they can regain the House and the Senate in 2022. So let's make sure that we don't make the mistake of being forgetful like they want you to be. Another thing that Congress has to vote on in the next couple of weeks is making sure that the funds are released for those who have been impacted and we've been praying for when it came to the hurricanes. These two hurricanes over the last couple of weeks have destroyed the lives of many, and they need the funds, especially FEMA, to get the money out there to the people. Well, Congress has to vote on this. The president has to sign it into law so the monies can be dispersed. Also, the House and the Senate has to vote on abortion rights. Yes, even though the Supreme Court has voted on it, the House and Senate have decided that they're going to put their 2 cents into it to see if they create protection for abortion rights. As you can tell, there's a laundry list of things that has to be taken care of in less than 2 weeks. This is why the president is worried about the infrastructure bill passing. At the same time, there's a lot of other things on their plate that may or may not pass as well. Also, the other thing that they need to vote on in regards to raising taxes on the rich. The president wanted to go all the way up to 29%, 28%, and many are saying that it's going to land right around 26% for the rich to pay when it comes to their taxes.
We're hearing a lot of different headlines, and I realize that this is nowhere near the end of the process, but what we are anticipating is that the Democrats in the House are going to be proposing a 26.5% corporate rate versus the 21% that there is now and less than the 28% the Biden administration had originally sought. A lot of that, though, is going to be offset by higher taxes on the wealthy, and Robert Frank told us earlier that that would mean people in New Jersey, the highest earners in New Jersey, would be paying north of 57% in total in taxes. So just wondering where you come down on what you're hearing so far.
Well, as you just said, it's just the beginning of this debate. In fact, the Ways and Means Committee in the House hasn't even started debating that portion yet. I mean, there's something that came out last night, was an outline. We'll see what happens in the committee. And then, of course, Becky, as we've talked about before, and as the Speaker committed to in August, what matters is what can get to 51 votes in the Senate, and that's what we'll consider in the House. So we're just in the beginning. I think there's going to be a lot of debate about this in the next month and months. And what I'm going to be focused on is what is the impact on New Jersey, and of course, as you pointed out, and of course, what can get to 51, because that's ultimately what matters and what will matter in the House, because we're not going to vote on something that can't get across the finish line in the Senate.
So, in other words, you're not paying a lot of attention to any of this stuff right now because it's all just a negotiation at this point?
Well, of course, I'm paying attention, but I'm saying that let's not start counting the numbers yet until we actually see a bill, which we haven't seen yet, and of course, until we see where this can get to in the Senate and how the debate unfolds. What matters to me, first and foremost, now is getting our infrastructure package passed out of the House, which we're going to vote on by September 27th. Get that across the finish line, which is key, especially after we saw the storms of Ida and the devastation it caused in the Northeast, in Jersey, and New York, and Connecticut, getting where there's critical investment in climate resiliency in that package, and of course the Gateway Tunnel and other priorities. So let's get that done, and then let's continue to debate this reconciliation package, and we'll get there. I just think it's going to be a long debate and a lot of twists.
Now, many Democrats have already said that they will not vote for the tax increase on the rich unless there is the SALT plan. What is SALT? State and local taxes. So anytime you hear someone use that term SALT, you know that they're trying to focus on decreasing or putting better benefits for you when it comes to the state and the local taxes. Now, for many of us that live in states such as Florida that do not have taxes, or Texas that do not have state taxes, it may not impact you. But the rest of the country, it's a big deal. It's